Well, we're back again with the Howe-Transmitters. This one is kind of special though. I thought last time was cool, but I have them working sequentially. And not only that, but they do something I've never seen before for a non-interfering coded pull system. And we'll just get right into it. So let's, I want to just open them up and get everything, I guess, in a way that we can see. Might even flip this one around. Oops. It'll survive. It survived this long. All right, so now what I want to do, we're gonna activate the fire on one, and then I'm gonna pull the Watchman on the other, using my little thing as a key, I guess. Okay, so Watchman's here, fire's here. Goes the fire. Using the auto call xylitone chime today. Feels suitable. And now we're activating the Watchman. Now, what is unique about this is what is about to happen, or what just did happen. Is they take turns. So while that's now going, let's activate the fire on this one. You see it clicked once there? It's almost like a click that has no code that it sends. It's like the initial click. But it puts it into like position to then run as soon as it. This is something I've never seen before. I'm thinking that one of the contacts on the wheel must kind of be like a pre-run position, and it puts it into that position if it's like got another one running or something. I don't know exactly what it does, but it'll click once and then not run. I would love to dive deeper into what exactly it's doing to do this, to take turns like this, but I've never seen a coded pull system where it's non-interfering and actually takes turns between the rounds. Usually they don't take turns, they wait till one has done its full set of rounds and then switches. That is not what is going on here. They are literally taking turns back and forth. So this is really something else. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before, and watching them just sequence back and forth like this is it's pretty cool. It's something special for sure. I think this was clearly very ahead of its time. This would have meant you could have known about multiple fires in different locations like sooner, because if you had to wait 4 rounds and then have this wait 4 rounds and then have the next one wait 4 rounds, and you had a bunch of sprinkler alarms that were all going off, because that's what these are originally designed for, was for sprinkler alarms. That would have meant you wouldn't have known what the hell was going on for a lot longer. So this means you could have pulled. This is just kind of crazy to me. And you can see when you pull them both, it takes a good while to get through, because I added an extra Watchman round in there, if you recall. I think this is going to be the last round, because this one was the last one pulled, and I think this one's done. So yeah, that's the case. Now, one thing to note is if I run the Watchman now, I don't think it'll do anything until I reset the glass. So I'm going to actually reset them both now. So let me put this one back in. You always have to remember it's lefty-tighty on these, not lefty-loosey. It's the backwards for how you screw these in on the break the glass. I'm like, which direction? Especially when I'm like sideways like this, it throws me off. Do this one too. And here's the thing. It just keeps going right through. You don't even have to worry about if one's running or not. You just do whatever and it just works. It's absolutely crazy to me. And it works just the other way around as well. I mean, I could have started this one first and then started this one. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The only other thing that's really new since last time is I put this little relay here. I actually want to get a relay that's higher voltage to match the impulse voltage, which is basically like 90 to like 110 volts. It's almost like the DC version of line voltage. I'm not sure if they just straight up rectified it or what they did originally, but I run it off like 90 volts DC usually, but it needs to be impulses. So anyway, that's fun. Got this guy for that. But yeah, it's a really cool system. I had no idea the depth that this was going to go. When we got into this, it was a really cool system just to see the mechanism working in the first place. And then I had two working, and then a combination station working, and then, it just figuring all that out was interesting enough. But watching them take turns like that, and then that you can basically reset them at the same time too, is really something else. This did mean you would have gotten to the fires faster, and I don't think anything would have existed like this for a much longer time. Like the Honeywell system, which I have basically half of it right here. This system, while it's probably newer, I think it came out after AC synchronous motors came into existence, because the code wheels on these were driven by like an AC motor. These are newer, but they waited the entire set of rounds before they would have sent the next code from the next station. And I've done a demo on those Honeywells before working in sequence, and that's how they work. They don't do this though. They don't go back and forth between rounds. I have never seen anything do that. The only thing that would do that like that would be like something like serial communication, which is sequential, but it's much quicker, obviously. Yeah, this is unbelievable, I feel like, for its time, especially given this came out in like the 30s, or I think it was invented in the 20s. It's just, when it was patented, it was in the 30s. And it was definitely competing with just like wind up code wheels, which is unbelievable too. Just think how old this is. But this is definitely far stretched from a wind up code wheel. The fact that it can go back and forth like that, and you could even recall in between one and then have another one go off, like everything about it is crazy. You can basically just do whatever and it just works. You can have one resetting, one recalling, recalling is resetting, but whatever. They can all be doing whatever thing that they're supposed to be doing. One watchman going off, one fire going off, and it's just going to wait till the end of that round and then send the next one and then just continue on whatever it was doing before. Unbelievable. I don't know how much more in depth there is to go on this system, but obviously I'm still going to poke around. One thing I did want to mention is some of the differences between these Howe-Transmitters. So maybe one thing I can show is, so for this Howe-Transmitter here, let me make it run again. It's a little different from the other one. So the fire one, let me start it up again. Helps if I have the impulses going. If you notice on this Howe-Transmitter, there's a little metal things that move around as it spins. And when they reach a certain point, they trip a switch right there on the end. The other Howe-Transmitter, on the other hand, does not have that. So if you look at this Howe-Transmitter, it's just empty there. And because this is the combination station, they use this thing to do that switching instead. And this thing actually has these double sets of contacts and two wheels, whereas this thing just has a single wheel, or sorry, it's the other end, a single wheel in there. And so that single wheel basically lets it do 4 rounds and stops, and that's all it can do. Whereas this one, it does the 4 rounds or it does the Watchman, and it uses that extra mechanism to do that difference. So that's really the main reason that has that, and that this one has the extra switch, and that the switch thing is missing on this one. That was strictly for the combination stuff, which all makes sense now. This was probably a cheaper way to do the 4 rounds without having to have this extra assembly. And if you didn't need the combination, if you weren't doing any sort of guards, then not needing the extra assembly, this whole like extra mechanism, because it's almost like a miniature version of the Howe-Transmitter if you think about it. It's a solenoid that's actuating a wheel. I mean, again, it's literally a miniature version. It's just a smaller solenoid. It's not as big as a dual coil. It's only a single coil, but it's also not actuating as much. But yeah, it's basically almost like two little like a mini Howe-Transmitter. I don't know what to call it. I wonder if it had a name, you know? But anyway, that's the main difference between these two Howe-Transmitters, though. The one says, I think it says fire alarm on this one, and then it says 952, which is the code of this one, and it basically rings 1952. Whereas this one, it's combination fire watchman. The watchman code is 1145, and the fire code is 2145. So, yeah, and it does 4 rounds of the fire code on both, and a single round of the watchman on the combinations. So that's about it at this point. You know, like, what else can I find out? One other brief thing I could say is the wiring was actually pretty simple overall. I would say the Honeywell system is actually probably more difficult to wire. I think that has 10 wires in and out. I think for this, you really just need, was it 1, 2, 3, 4 power in for the one. It's not bad. It's really not bad. It just, like, I think it's 4 wires between them is really all you need, versus I think it's 5 wires between them you need on the Honeywells. So it's I think the Honeywell has an extra loop in there or something. I think it has more notion of supervision than this, but with this, you know, obviously if you lost circuit, you'd have, you know, problems. But I think there's more other problems with this, which is that the impulse generator, all that, if you lost that, you'd have problems too. So I'm assuming if those conditions happened, you would just be in alarm anyway. So, you know, you would have to just account for that in your design of the system, give or take. But yeah, the wiring is really not too bad. You basically just join, all the positives are joined together essentially. The negatives are what kind of get cut off as it switches between stations. And so the negatives all get joined at one point, but it's really not that bad. And then the signals all just join together in just one big loop, just all together in one. Really not bad at all, the design. Yeah, what can I say? I kind of figured it out. So yeah, what can here I am sitting again, surrounded by my favorite thing, auto call. And you know, even behind me, whole different generations of auto call. So well, this has been another very auto call video. I feel like I've done a few of them lately. And yeah, until next time, we'll see if there's anything more to find out about this system.